Welcome to more Fanime. How's everybody doing today? Today I want to review chapter 1065 of the One Piece manga. It officially dropped today. Read it 3 times this morning to try to completely understand what was going on in this chapter. A lot happens with the Zoro crew, with Sanji and all the rest of them. Not necessarily a lot happens involving Law and Blackbeard, sadly, because we're all wondering, is it just the rest of that fight just going to be off-screen? Is that all we're going to get? Is just that little bit? It was cool, of course, Oda showing us that his crew is capable in the last chapter. So we don't feel like it's a one-sided squash right now. If Blackbeard can't beat them, what can he do against Luffy and his crew? I mean, there is the chance that maybe Aokiji will show up since Van Augur is there. So maybe Aokiji will show up and turn the tide for Blackbeard and really be the muscle in the Blackbeard crew, freezing the waters so they can't fight underwater, which seems to be a lot of Law's crews. The main core members of his crew seem to fight underwater. That's why they have a submarine. It's pretty dope. But I don't know if they can handle a giant frozen ocean, which we've seen Aokiji is capable of, or Kuzan is capable of. Of course, Aokiji was his marine name, and he is Kuzan now, so I would be pretty interested to see Kuzan go head-to-head with Law, and if it turns out that Kuzan is really one of the strongest members of the Blackbeard crew that we know of, that'll be interesting, because we all think that he will at one point or another turn on Blackbeard. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe Kuzan has really turn to the dark side. We'll have to wait and find out. But this chapter, 1065, really showed us what's going on with the Vegapunks. We got to meet all the rest of the Vegapunks. My personal new favorite Vegapunk of the 6 paths of Vegapunk is the greedy York, who seems to be in charge of eating and all the pleasures, it seems, for the rest of them. Eating, sleeping, just enjoying life. She seems to be in charge of just enjoying the pleasures of life. There's a point where they show her eating like 600 pounds of food or some shiz, and then she goes and takes a dumpski and then takes a huge nap. So she must have to sleep for 6 people, eat for 6 people, and God knows what else for 6 people. But she is my current favorite member of the Vegapunk crew, and the reason why is a secret. And the other Vegapunk 04 we get to meet is Pythagoras, I can't even say it, the Wise. So he's a wise man. He seems very much in charge of doing experiments on, it seems like he was in charge of working with the pacifistas and developing them, and the new Sephiras, whatever you want to call them, the new clones of the 7 warlords. He seems to be in charge of collecting data on and around those inventions. And finally, we have Dr. Vegapunk Edison, easier to say, the thinker, who seems to be in charge of coming up with ideas. He says "Eureka" multiple times as he's coming up with different random ideas just from seeing 1 or 2 things happening during the experiment they do with the Straw Hat crew, which I'll get into right now. So the Straw Hat crew follow Vegapunk Lilith, the evil version of Vegapunk that has all the evilness within her. And she does kind of trick them, leads them up an escalator, which Nami and Usopp are losing their minds, like, holy shit, an escalator. Even Frankie's like, how is this all powered? It's super, futuristic. And Lilith is like, it's powered by fire. And I'm just like, you mean like fossil fuels? Like gasoline? Is that what you're doing here? And even I think Frankie is the one who mentions that must use a lot of natural resources. How do you fight that? And she's like, well, I want to eventually create an eternal flame of sorts, or harness the power of the sun, which is pretty cool. And I've seen stuff like this in other science fiction where someone tries to create eternal energy. In Spider-Man 2, Doc Ock is trying to control internal energy, and it explodes and attaches the octopus suit to his neck, the original Spider-Man 2. Check it out. Worth your time. It's amazing. Just an example of someone else trying to create eternal energy or an eternal flame, whatever you want to call it. Lilith leads them into this wall that you can walk through, just through it. You can just walk through walls like Kitty Pryde from X-Men. They all walk through walls, and then when they turn around, the wall is now metal. So that's interesting. That's some interesting technology. Frankie's freaking out this chapter. Hey, Vegapunk, we can be best friends. We don't have to be enemies at all. Like, just teach me your ways. I'll stay here for a while and learn your ways, and I'll rejoin the crew. He doesn't say that, but I wouldn't be surprised if Vegapunk was like, hey, Frankie, will you stay with me for a month or two while I teach you my ways and go through my science with you? And then you can go back to your crew. I wouldn't be surprised if Frankie took that deal, because what a hell of a deal to work with the smartest man in the world. The Straw Hat crew kind of gets tricked into going into this room after Lilith kind of takes off, sneaks away. Nami's just like, whoa, what's going on here? Where did she go? And also she's like, I need to steal some future treasure while we're here. And even Usopp is kind of a gag. Usopp's like, what even is future treasure, Nami? And Nami's like flowers made of jewels. And he's like, are you an old lady or a greedy hag? I don't understand. And Nami kicks him and does a future kick. I wonder how hard a future kick feels against a present kick or even a past kick. We get to see a Jinbe pacifista and or Seraphim, and Jinbe, like this childlike Jinbe, but just as big as Jinbe as the crew says. He's like, that looks like a big child version of Jinbe. What's going on? Why is his hair white? Why does he have black wings? This isn't right. What is happening? What happened to you, Jinbe? I would have thought the same thing. I wouldn't at first thought think, that must be a clone of Jinbe. No, I would think, oh, what has the Vegapunks, the paths of Vegapunks, what have they done to Jinbe to dye his hair white and have him grow black wings and also make him look like a giant child version of himself? I wouldn't immediately think, oh, that's a clone. Frankie, though, is like, wait, okay, that might not be Jinbe. That could be a pacifista once Jinbe notices it charging up one of those laser Kizaru beams out of his hands. I'm still wondering what's going on with the Kizaru beams that come out of the pacifistas and the Seraphim. So does that mean that Jinbe does have the power of the glint fruit, and in one way or another being able to shoot these laser beams out of their hands? Or are their hands made of mechanics and it's not a full clone, more cybernetic, cyborg-ish, unless, I don't know, it must be partial robot for that to work, if it's shooting these lasers. But it is shown even as soon as it starts attacking the Straw Hat crew, as soon as Pacifista Jinbe starts going at it in attack mode, he shows off he's got a devil fruit ability, and not just any devil fruit ability, Senor Pink's devil fruit ability. This got my head racing the minute I read it. I was like, does that mean that Senor Pink is dead? Or is this a cloned version of Senor Pink's devil fruit? I need to know, because Senor Pink is one of my favorite side villain type characters in the story, right behind Bon Clay. So, Senor Pink, I would like to see a happy ending for after all the tragedy he's been through. If he was killed, experimented on, or his devil fruit was ripped out of his body in some way, shape, or form by Vegapunk's experiments, it's time for we get revenge on Vegapunk, that mad monster. Interesting idea, giving Jinbe the swim fruit ability, allowing him to swim in any environment, in steel and metal, doesn't matter, he just swim through anything. I'm not sure if he can swim through living things. I think it has to be inanimate objects, but they can now swim through anything except for the ocean because it'll take away your powers. So it's interesting, and it makes me wonder, wouldn't it be sick as all hackaroos if somehow Jinbe got the swim fruit ability and now had the ability to swim on land? Seraphim Jinbe just starts swimming around the crew, grabs Nami by the throat and goes like, you. Well, he doesn't say anything, but Nami's just like, Jinbe, what are you doing? This is bullshit. And she even tries to use her or Climb Attack, or Zeus, and the fact that it can jump into the water like an ocean and even use liquid versions of whatever it's swimming through as a weapon using Fishman Karate is insane. Luckily, Nami has some powerful allies with her, having both, Sanji and Frankie there to kick ass. And the Queen Nico Robin comes in with some dust flows and summons some crazy Snapdragon Spank attack, which was way too cool. And I'm so happy Robin's getting all this serious time to shine right now, just like when she stood up to Lilith. And now here with the Seraphim, here she comes going in hard with the Snapdragon Spank attack. Then you have Sanji come in with the Diable Jambe, maybe even the Ifrit version, we don't know because it's in black and white, comes in with the kicking the shit out of this version of Jinbe. And then, of course, Frankie comes in out of nowhere with the all-powerful Radical Beam that he used to defeat a member of the Topiropo, so it ain't something you can just tank. I don't even think Luffy could just tank a Radical Beam head on. Radical Beam hits it. Then you see the other versions, the other paths of Vegapunk there going, what the hell? They're going to kill our machine, our invented Sephiroth. And then Lilith is like, do you have any idea how expensive these are? Well, you're the ones who trapped the Straw Hat crew, and that is unfair, in my opinion. And they even announced that the suits they put on have been, they can attach to the ground like with magnetism, so now the crew is stuck. Once Vegapunk 01 comes in, he activates the magnet floor to suck in their new boots, so they can't move nowhere. I can't remember who I was listening to who mentioned that. I think it was Roger's Base that was talking about how the boots might be magnetic and they might be able to trap the Straw Hat crew. Luckily for them, they have Zoro and Brook on the outside, who are even shown, and this was one of my favorite scenes in this chapter, sipping tea and discussing the reason why they decided to stay. Zoro mentions, I don't want to, leave the ship just in case the crew gets captured here on a government island. We were in enemy territory. I'll stay right here because shit always happens to the Sunny when we're not around it. And Brooks like, I was thinking the same thing. Cheers, mate. Would you like some more tea? Then you get to see the worst character in the current storyline right now, in my opinion, and that is Caribou comes in and goes, hey guys, I know we had a deal. You were going to drop me off at the next island, but we did not talk about being on a marine, or a government island. Please, can I go to the next island? And Zoro looks at him and he's like, I know you're a piece of shit because I've had to deal with you a couple times now back at Fishman Island and so forth, but I did hear that you helped my captain. That is clear. We did promise to drop you off at the next island, and that's what we're doing. My captain's not here to make a different decision, so I makes the decisions now. I'm the captain now when Luffy's not here. And you're getting off this boat right here, right now. You get your own ship and get whatever. Get the fuck out of here. And that's kind of what Zoro says to, more or less, to our boy Caribou, who I hate oh so much. And I am still wondering what is up with Caribou. Why does Oda care so much about this character? Why does he keep showing up? I know he was on the ship, but where is he going? Who is he going to tell all the intel he's gathered when listening to the Straw Hat crew for the last week and a half as they've been sailing to the next island? What's he going to do with all this information? Is he going to give it to Blackbeard? Is he a secret marine spy or some shit? I don't think so. I think he is I think he wouldn't have a problem being on a government island if he was. So I'm thinking he must be working with Blackbeard or Kuzan. Somebody is using this little piece of shiz, this little piece of dirt, to get them information, and he does have some big information on the ultimate weapons, the ancient weapons. Speaking of ancient, we do get to talk to Dr. Vegapunk 01, who is not, I don't think is turning on the crew right now. I think he just wants to have a conversation with the crew, and just in case they did attack him after the whole Seraphim experiment with Jinbe trying to kill them and choking out our girl Nami. You think for a second there. Also, I did forget to mention Usopp was involved in attacking the Seraphim with some green grass type attack with his Popper Green's launching ability and his observation hockey. He was able to land a couple blows before our boy Frankie came in with the Radical Beam. They even mention the other different versions of Vegapunk were just like, yeah, What's up with that laser beam coming out of the cyborg? Where did he get this technology? So now they might be realizing, oh shit, he must have studied my childhood technology from where I was from. And that's how he has some of the technology or attached to his body right now. So I do hope, because Frankie was a big part of this manga, a couple chapters, Frankie was like, "You're so super, Vegapunk. Teach me your ways." As mentioned earlier, I do hope that Vegapunk does at least give Frankie some upgraded arms, give him some new abilities. Maybe he can have a laser sword built into his hand, just like the laser sword that Bonnie has currently. The only information we get about Bonnie, Luffy, Chopper, and real Jinbe is they've run into more of a scrap heap, and they found an ancient robot-looking creature that's been killed. It looks like some kind of cybernetic robot thing, but it's ancient, 1,000 years old looking thing, and Jinbe even mentions that doesn't look right. It looks like a futuristic tech, but it's been here for centuries. What's happening? But we get to talk to Vegapunk 01, who tells Nico Robin and everybody, I know some shit about the Void Century, and I feel like in the next chapter we're going to find out what it is, because Egghead Island is not the island of the future, it is the island of the past. And Frankie's like, what are you talking about? It's like the super future here, Vegapunk. What do you mean? He's like, what if I told you 900 years ago there was an island that was more advanced than this one, like, or as advanced as this one? They're like, wait, what? So our minds are blown as this chapter ends. I can't even decide exactly what he means. Like, does he mean that there was a futuristic world that One Piece, that current One Piece used to be? Like the whole world used to be futuristic. Does this have connections with the moon that current, oh God, Enel is on? He's on a moon, but it has futuristic creatures on it and futuristic technology on the moon. Was the moon at one point part of the Earth? As I've heard that theory before, the moon separated from the Earth and left and became the moon. I've heard that kind of information on the History Channel. So maybe the moon was there, and maybe that's how those Roberts got up to the moon with Enel. If you don't know, Enel is on the moon right now. Eneru is on the moon, waiting to strike with his army of Roberts that he powers with the lightning fruit. So shit's going on, and I feel like there's a connection with that, and I feel like we could be seeing Enel sooner than later, more powerful than ever, maybe attached with some technology he never knew existed, a part of him increasing his ability, maybe even learning armament hockey, we don't even know. Maybe even awakening his lightning fruit so he can just turn things into electricity. It's been 2 years, or if not more, and now could be the next big bad in the next arc. We don't know. Shit's getting real in One Piece is all I can say. We didn't even get to see what's going on with Law and Blackbeard, but by the time I finished the chapter and all this Void Century mumbo jumbo started being thrown at me, I was like, I don't give a shit what's happening with Law right now. I want to know more about this past future island that Vegapunk 01 is telling us about. I need to know this information, Oda. You can't just tease me and leave me here to wait a whole week until I find out exactly what Vegapunk is trying to say here. Are we in some crazy timeline future scenario? Did the 20 Kings take down this futuristic island from the past and tore everything apart and was like, everything is too futuristic. We need to add a red line to the Earth, separate the Earth so we're not, letting minds meld and start to learn things, start doing their learning. Because once they start doing their learning, they stop. Sorry, I'm getting too ahead of myself. They stop listening to us. They stop being our slaves because they want freedom. And that's horse shit. And we don't want Roberts to do all the work. We want slaves. And that's why the world government was formed. And that's why Nefertari was like, no, that's not what I signed up for. Nefertari's like, we're going to go back to our island, but promise it's a sandy place. There's not a lot of technology. We won't do anything cray-cray. We'll keep all the secrets. Just let us go, please. The 19 other kings, y'all are in charge now. We get it. We get it. Just let the Nefertari go. I was a big part of, taking down the former regime. So you guys be the elders. You guys be the controllers of the world here in Mary Joa. You birth the celestial dragons, do y'all thing. But us Nefertaris, we out. Who knows? There's so much information that's coming oozing out of these new chapters that it's blowing my mind. And I can't even theorize what possibly could happen. So many different directions Oda could take this story at this moment, which blows my mind. Nothing I could have ever predicted. There's so many elements at play right now currently in the manga. Currently, right now, you have CP0 coming in. We have no idea if Lucci is really formed an alliance again with the world government, or it's all a ploy, or he's undercover. He's undercover with the rest of CP9, and they at one point plan to take out all the celestial dragons. We don't know. Blackbeard is going toe-to-toe with Law, as mentioned earlier. Huge shit is happening, and Oda's jumping all over the place, giving us all this information, and I'm just losing it. This is More Fanime. Please comment down below with your theories. Help me decipher this chapter a little bit, please. Share, comment, subscribe. Help me with those YouTube algorithms. I'll talk to you later.